Alright guys, today I'm going to talk a little bit about aliens, disclosure, and kind of where I think we're headed with all this stuff. It's a super interesting topic. Everything that's come out so far with disclosure. I think people are ready for it. I think humanity's been kind of waiting for this stuff for a long time. There's so many different takes on it. You got Christians who they're in the camp where they think all ETs they're just demons. They think everything's a demon, which I was in that camp a while ago. But I think it's more complicated than that. I was open-minded to learning more about it, and I think there's positive ETs out there, guys. I think we're getting help. I think the whole Q operation is basically Trump, military generals. It's a secret military operation to take down the deep state, the bad guys, the cabal, the New World Order, which I think ultimately was run by extraterrestrials, negative ones, mainly the reptilians. It's a kind of it's a touchy subject, I guess, for people who are religious, or because it's kind of it could break down a lot of things that we thought were true or not. Yeah, I think we're heading into some interesting times with the ET stuff. I did a quick video talking about the technology. I think a lot of the technology we got from extraterrestrials, I think it's been held back, and I think they just release stuff slowly. They kind of drip stuff to make profit on it over the decades and centuries even. But I think we're getting to that point where they're just gonna release a lot more fast, because I think the age of Aquarius is about technology, fast travel, stuff like that. So I think we're heading into really interesting, cool times. The alien thing is kind of it's interesting. It's I don't know what all. I'm trying to piece together what I've learned. You got to be kind of discerning on some of this stuff, because there's everything out there about it. So there's some people who think they're here to save humanity. There's some people who think they're just demonic, and then I'm kind of in between. I'm kind of thinking, I guess my to sum it up, I think the negative ETs pretty much pirated this planet, and have been taking advantage of humanity behind the scenes for a long time, blackmailing politicians and governments from around the world. And I think what Q was an operation to pretty much stop that. It's huge. It's a complicated thing, but if you really study the Q drops, if you read into them, man, it really adds up, and it's pretty comforting to see where we're headed, because I think the past kind of proves the future, and what they're saying. Like if you really follow them, it gives you confidence of, okay, the good guys got this. They're kind of in control. So it's I think the Q drops were put out there to comfort people who have been wanting the truth and aware of this stuff, because a lot of this is a lot of it's been pretty upsetting, a lot of these reveals going on for people have just been they get blindsided, and I think knowledge is power. I don't know where we're headed with the ET thing ultimately. People have different opinions on it, but I think you gotta be open-minded. You can't trust what there's the mainstream, even the government. You can't trust what they're saying, because I think they're still throwing psyops out there to wake people up. So it's a complicated thing. ETs, I think there's good ones. I think they're working with with humanity, with military, with world leaders, and I think with certain countries, I think they're taking them down. I think they actually took down the deep state and the cabal who've been trying to crush humanity for a while, and I'm not sure where people are at, but you study the Georgia Guidestones, and what they had planned for us was not good. I think when Trump got in 2016, I think that was the final blow. Take down the deep state, because if Hillary would have got in there, it wouldn't have been good. And I think a lot of people know that now, but I think the last 8 years or so, I think it's just been a kind of theater, and waking people up to what could have happened. A lot of people think that's not fair, and why not just tell people the truth? Well, I don't think I don't think they can handle it. So I think basically they know what works, they know how the human psyche works, and they're kind of doing it through that way. Like they know pretty much mirrored what the bad guys have been doing. Psyops and false flags and all these agendas and everything. Like, I think the bad guys were doing that for a long time. It works. It works to move the masses along in a large. You got to think about it. There's a lot of people, and they're not all on the same level. So you gotta wake them up. So I think that's what Q's kind of doing. So back to the ETs. I think there's good ones and there's bad ones. The reptilians, insectoids, whatever you call them, the bug ones. You got the grays. I think those negative ones, and you got the Nordics and the ones from Lyra. You got the Palladians, and I think those are the positive, and I think there's some helping us. I think there's some helping, military and everyone behind Q and the whole operation, because I think it's just the whole. This is pretty much for all the marbles. This is like pretty much the Satan, and you wrap it up into evil. They want to control the whole world. Demonics, ETs, however you want to look at it. But they want total control of the whole world. You look at the Georgia Guidestones. If you really study this stuff, you've been down all the rabbit holes, you know how bad it is. And I think a lot of people they're at that point where they know there's some bad stuff coming, but a lot of people aren't aware of Q and the whole operation to stop that. So. That's just my opinion. Everything I've researched, it's hope too. Like it gives you. And I'm not doing it just for hope, but man, I kind of see it. I see it playing out. So I encourage people to study the Q drops. Keep an open mind about the alien, the ETs, because I think that's going to play a big part of the future. I don't know how. I don't think anybody really knows how, but I think it's gonna play a big part. I think you still got to be aware of stuff. There still might be roadblocks or pitfalls or major decisions you got to make. You look at COVID and the whole things in the arm. If you weren't read up on that, you didn't do your research, and you had no clue. You just pretty much, like a lot of people. Was it 80% of the whole world, 85% of the whole world walked right into that, and they got the thing. So you got to be aware, got to have an open mind about this. But I guess I'm just putting a word of encouragement out there for what I believe is going on with the Q operation. It's a military operation to take down the deep state, take down these underground bunkers, the dumbs. Gene Decode does a great job of talking about the deep underground military bases. It's a super complex topic, and I can go down a million different rabbit holes, but for now, we'll just keep it at, I think the good guys are in control. I think we're getting help. It's complicated. There's Project Looking Glass, there's advanced technology, timelines. There's so much stuff, guys, that goes in with this stuff. So I think anyone who says they got it all figured out, I'd question that person. I'm just following the crumb trail and connecting the dots the best I can. I feel good about it. I felt comfortable about it for years now. Pretty confident that we're heading in the right direction. And I think a lot of it now is a lot of theater to wake people up to what could have been. Because like I said, Hillary got in 2016 and it would have been a complete disaster for everybody, and people still don't realize that. So many people still gotta wake up, and they're doing it slow. But I think we're gonna get to the point where we're out of time, and people are just gonna have to take it for what it is, and all this stuff's gonna come out. You look at Space Force too. Space Force was a big thing, taking down these negative ETs, because if you study the flag, the Space Force flag, and the constellations, Orion, and all that stuff. Orion's not on there anymore. Apparently, that's where the reptilians, the Draco, that's where they come from. Orion, apparently. So when you connect the dots, it's interesting. But they've been Earth pretty much what I think we've been pirated for a long time, and farmed and taken advantage of, and politicians have been blackmailed, and they're running the show behind the scenes for eons, and right under everyone's nose. And I think now with the disclosure, with the official government website saying this stuff's actually legit and it's actually real, and UFOs are out there and they exist. A lot of people are paying attention to that. It's on Fox News. They're talking about different ET races. It's just that I'm amazed that we're even to that point. Like I've been into the ET stuff for a while, and to finally hear it on Fox News, it's like, holy crap, we're almost here. So it's encouraging. I don't have it all figured out. I don't know where we're going with this, but I just think we're in good hands. They're trying to put stuff out there through movies. You got Spielberg's Disclosure movie that came out a few weeks ago, which I guess they only really talk about the grays, and they kind of put them in a positive light, which I don't know what they're trying to do there, but I think it's mainly to get people just get their toes wet, and just to put it out there, because people in America, they learn through movies. That's just how it is. The deep state, the bad guys, controlled the movies for a long time. Now I think the good guys got control of this stuff, and they're kind of using the same tactics, but they're actually doing it for good, to warm people up, to get them accustomed to, okay, we're not alone. This it's going to change a lot of people's reality, so but I think it's for the good. Don't fear it, but you still gotta, don't be, you can't be trusted in everything, because just look at the movie Disclosure. They're putting these gray ETs in a positive light, where if you do the research on it with the abduction stuff, and the grays and the reptilians and stuff, well, they're not positive. So, but I think there are positive ones out there, apparently, that are working with humanity to get us over this. To get us through this, because I think we're at the final. This is it. I think the Age of Aquarius was the final attempt for total control of the planet. I think it failed. I think it's been stopped, and now I think we're just getting to the point in time where people are, they got to make a choice, morally, okay, about their decisions, and we'll see where it goes. So I think technology is gonna be pretty intense. I think it's gonna be for the good. I think it's gonna be AI is gonna be used for healing, for positive things like that. Travel is gonna be different. I think it's going to be fast. All good. It's going to be fun and exciting times. I don't know when this stuff's going to come out, but who knows? Keep an open mind about it. Stay positive. I think we're headed in the right direction. All right, guys. We'll keep it there for that, and we'll talk to you later.